Good evening, ghouls and goblins. Welcome to Insomniac. I am your host, the vicious serial killer, Sabine de Winter. Mwahaha. Just kidding. Still misread. Hi, hello, you guys. Welcome to Insomniac. I am your host, Misread. Just thought I'd lighten the mood a little bit because this is about to get dark, as most of them do. So, hope all of you are having a good evening, night, morning, whatever you want to call it. So, yes. Could you be a serial killer? Yeah, or somebody you know might be a serial killer. So, this one's going to be set up a little bit different. We're not going to do this the whole 1 through 13 like we usually do. We're going to do this on fact and myths to start out with, and then I'll give you those wonderful little tips on how to identify a serial killer. So, yes. So, the first one, is this fact or myth? There are 150 victims of serial murder in any given year in the United States. What do you think? Fact or myth? That is fact. It is statistically speaking that, about approximately on average, 150 people in the United States alone are killed by a serial killer in any given year. And that rate is going up as our population does. So, yeah. Yeah. So this one, fact or myth. The FBI defines a serial killer as a person who has killed 3 or more people with a cooling off period. Otherwise, they are a killing spree murderer. What do you think? Fact or myth? It is fact. Yes. So in order to be considered a serial killer, by FBI standards, who actually was the ones that set the standard for serial killers back in the 60s and 70s. You have to kill 3 or more people and then have a cooling off period where you don't kill people for a little while. If you go sequential kill to kill to kill, you're considered a killing spree murderer. So, yeah. Crazy. This one, fact or myth. Serial killers are only creepy middle-aged white dudes. Is that fact or myth? It is myth. It is myth. In fact, there are quite a few notorious serial killers that are female. So, yeah. And kids, too. Yep, kids are not out of that realm of being serial killers. So, yeah. Next one, fact or myth. All serial killers have a specific method of killing their victims. What do you think, fact or myth? That is a myth. There are also other documented serial killers. They purposely switched up their methodologies of killing people so they were less likely to get caught. I don't know, the Zodiac Killer? Yeah. Fact or myth? Most serial killers are intellectually impaired slobs. That is a myth. That is a big, big myth. So, actually, most of them are highly intelligent, and they are highly methodical because that's how they don't get caught. So, fact or myth? The 2 main motivations for kills are power and sexual gratification. So, you think that that's a fact or a myth? And if you guess fact, you are correct. Yes. Most of the time, some sort of empowerment because somebody in their childhood made them feel helpless or hopeless from abuse of some sort, and they're traumatized by it. So they're trying to regain that sense of innocence and power that unfortunately they can never gain back. or they have weird, I shouldn't say weird, considered by society at that time weird sexual kinks. And this is how they're going to deal with it. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll have to do a video about fears because, yeah, the number one fear is not death. It is humiliation. Yeah. So these people would rather kill people than be humiliated. All right. And the last fact or myth. FBI estimates that there are between 25 and 50 serial killers operating in the U.S. at any given moment. You think that's fact or myth? If you guess fact, you are correct. Yes, and actually that number is only since 2005. It has actually gone up about 35%. So you're talking more like 35 to 65, 70 serial killers now. So, and I know a lot of people are asking, as I just explained in my makeup and chat that I do to get ready, how the heck in a society where there's cameras everywhere and everybody's got cell phones and everything's being recorded, how on earth do these people get away with this stuff? Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of even first world countries where things are not as well documented as it may seem. And honestly, one of the biggest syndicates of mass killings do happen to be the government systems that control said countries. And they just use the label of serial killer to cover up, a botched mission. And there's still a heck of a lot of countries that are underdeveloped or that they have gangs that run rampant and just the whole nine yards. So the police forces have been cut, funding has been cut, and people, our law enforcement and our militaries just can't keep up with these people. And of course, these people are devious, criminals don't gain by playing within the modes of the law. They just don't. So they get smart. Okay. So I want to clarify a kind of differentiation of fact and myth that unfortunately has become very notorious with social media and movies and books and stuff. Because a lot of people think that all serial killers are psychopaths. And that is an incorrect assumption. See, psychopaths and sociopaths are two entirely different categorisms within criminal psychology. So a sociopath is not recognized in a court of law as a mental illness, but prompted by negative reinforcement and conditioning. So these people they weren't born messed up. They were made messed up by trauma and horrible life experiences. And being a sociopath is not something that you can use in court to say that, you're not guilty by reason of insanity. However, with a psychopath, psychopathy is formed by underlying mental illnesses or defect, and it warps your sense of right and wrong. It is typically a genetic disorder, and you are born with it. So thusly, that can give you not guilty by reasons of insanity, and you'll go to a mental hospital instead of a regular prison. So this is, I just wanted to clarify this because you hear about it on social media, everybody talking about, oh, this person's a sociopath, this person's a psychopath. You need to be careful with what you're using, what sort of terminology you're using, because, yeah. You just do. And the other thing is that not all serial killers are psychopaths. Not all serial killers are sociopaths. Some of these serial killers are still sitting alive, and they stay sitting alive until they die because they were born that way. For example, Ed Gein, he was born that way. He was born with mental problems. Okay. In contrast to, for example, Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is a sociopath. He went crazy because of things that went on in his life. So, but yes, it should be noted that serial killers, though most probably have mental issues that are recognized in the United States law, they're not considered incompetent to stand trial by reason of insanity, as I just said, due to the fact that they hid their crimes, okay, therefore are aware that they are indeed crimes. And that's the other thing. In most situations, you can't get off on the plea of insanity case, because in order to be a successful serial killer with a long career, you have to have enough awareness that what you're doing is wrong and to hide what you're doing. So yeah, very few serial killers can avoid, death row. So, and on to this. All right. So, could you be a serial killer? Or could somebody you know and or care about be one? So, the most common traits of serial killers are when they're kids, bedwetting. And I'm not talking like, 2, 3 years old. I'm talking like 13, 12, 14, at a point in life where that shouldn't be a problem so much anymore. Now, this doesn't mean that every child that ends up doing these things or every person that has these traits are 150% predestined to be a serial killer or a bad person. It's just if these traits that I'm about to tell you are all linked together, it's very highly probable that they either are or might be in the future somebody very dangerous. So bedwetting, cruelty to animals. Many killers are documented that they tortured animals and stuff, it's part and parcel of the thing. Arson, setting fires to things. That's pretty common. Antisocial disorders. If they have a big problem getting along with people, if they have a big problem with authority, if they seem to be very quiet, or they have difficulty, with their social skills and their social etiquette, that sort of thing. Okay. Childhood abuse. And quite often the childhood abuse, especially if it's bad enough, will be linked with the cruelty to animals and the antisocial behavior. Because with the cruelty to animals, that's like, okay, this person that I cared for and trusted, usually an adult, took power over me in a destructive way. So I'm going to take it out on something else that I have control and power over in a destructive way. In fact, a half-decent amount of killers don't start out as killers. They start out as rapists. And when they end up getting caught and going to jail, their solution to not leaving witnesses is to rape their victims, then kill them. So, yeah. Okay. High intelligence and cleverness. This is a big myth. Most serial killers actually have fairly high IQs. You know, you're talking like 110 to 125, 130. Some of the most famous killers could have genuinely been comparative IQ wise to Einstein. You know, and Einstein, I believe his was in the 137 mark, 140. So, yeah, very intelligent people, very crafty, very clever. So, most of them are charismatic and charming, but it's something they've learned. It's part of the sociopath part of things. Okay. Has an underlying motive, obviously, you know, revenge, sexual gratification, dealing with trauma and shame, control, power, restraint, all sorts of things. So, yeah. Adult serial killers that when they get they get good at their work, do things like establishing territories. They have a type of victim they prefer to go after. They stalk their victims and get to know their patterns, and they're very good at reading people. They may not be very good at understanding social cues. That's the thing. Most of them don't feel in the same way that normal people do. Like they value people for what those people can be as an asset towards them, not as people. Okay? So they learn people's patterns, they learn people's mannerisms, and they learn how to mimic them for the right occasions. Again, they're very intelligent. I've met a person in my life that they won't, if somebody in the group says a joke, if you watch them, they won't start laughing until a little bit after everybody else does. Why? Because they don't understand that social cue. And needless to say, that and many other reasons on this list is why I don't associate with this person anymore. So, yeah. They may keep keepsakes. A lot of them you take trinkets or tokens or something. For example, the infamous fictional character Hannibal Lecter, he didn't necessarily keep keepsakes from his victims, but he ate them. So there was specific organs from his victims that he ate. Ed Gein, of course, it was the skins that he was after. With Pogo the Clown, which is John Wayne Gacy, he kept certain personal items like a watch or a shirt or whatever in a bag in a closet. Things of that nature. There's a couple of killers that have kept, jewelry from their victims, or have even they'll keep the jewelry from the victim, bring it home, and give it to their girlfriend or their wife or their husband. Hey, I bought you an anniversary gift, or hey, I was thinking of you. Even though, 5 hours beforehand, they raped and killed somebody and stole that jewelry to put on their normal day partner. Yeah. Crazy stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. They're manipulative. Very, very manipulative. They're lifelong insomniacs. Majority of serial killers are insomniacs. They have chronic insomnia because a lot of the reason why they do what they do is they have psychological issues that haunt them. So that comes with insomnia. So, yeah. they have difficulty with societal stability. Now, this one's a little bit debatable because you do have examples like John Wayne Gacy, who, you know, he had a very successful construction business, and he had the side business of being Pogo the Clown for like charities and kids' birthday parties. And like all his neighbors loved him, so they never really thought twice about it. And at one point, I think he was even awarded like the key to the city by Jackie Onassis or something. It was one of the first ladies. He was awarded personally the key to the city for all of his good stuff and good deeds. And like he had a wife, he had 2 children. His mother-in-law was also living with them. He had a nice rancher home in town in the suburbs. Nobody ever suspected anything until, for whatever reason, a police officer had come over on a hot day during the summer and smelled the stank of death. And that was the pile of deceased young men and boys that were in the crawl space under the house, starting to decay and smell in the summer heat. That's how he was found. Okay, that's how he was caught. But yeah, other than him though, majority of them have problems with things like I said, like social etiquette and social skills, genuinely connecting with people, keeping jobs, keeping apartments and places to live, keeping relationships, whether it's, you know, friendships, family ties, romantic relationships, just, you know, a decent, I would say a half decent amount of them were also addicted to drugs or alcohol at some point in their lives, severely addicted. And so, yeah, there's always a huge life skill chunk missing somewhere. In fact, as far as I can remember, John Wayne Gacy is the only example of somebody that in their daytime life had themselves together entirely. So, but yeah. And the last one here, the last common traits. Don't come at me. This is the facts. The most common signs, zodiac signs. The 4 common signs that serial killers are born under. Number 1 is Virgo. Okay, like I said, don't come at me. It's just the facts. Now, this could be a little bit biased because Virgo, I believe, also has the largest populace of any sign. You know, the last half of August, the first half of September. I'm pretty sure that the majority of the world population are Virgo. So, but it's also, whether you're a believer in astrology or not, there are certain traits that come with people that are born in certain times of the year. It does have a correlation in genetics. They have proven it, that things like sunlight, nutrition during different times of the year, etc., do have an effect on your personality and mood as a person. Thusly, zodiac signs, to a certain degree, do hold a general median value. Okay? So, number 1 is Virgo. Number 2 is Gemini. Number 3 is Scorpio. And number 4 is Capricorn. Okay? So, yes. Anybody from those signs, don't come at me, bro, because those are the facts. I'm just giving you the facts. I have 2 beautiful children that are Virgos, and I cannot foresee either one of them purposely, honest to goodness, killing somebody in their lifetime, unless they were honest to goodness, provoked to do it out of defense of themselves or somebody they cared about. So, yeah. And my dad is a Gemini. And while, yes, he very much he's like any other, typical upper middle class American. He does like weapons and things like that. And he gets upset and frustrated about people's stupidity sometimes. I don't believe in a million years the man would hurt somebody on purpose unless he was provoked to do so. So and yeah, I have friends that are Scorpios. I have a sibling that's a Capricorn. These are the facts. Unfortunately, the majority of documented serial killers that we have the most data on just happen to be these 4 signs. So, yeah. But those are your facts. Bedwetting, cruelty to animals, arson, antisocial disorder, childhood abuse, high intelligence, charisma, underlying motives, territories, there's a type, understanding people's patterns well, lack of empathy, keepsakes, lack of understanding of relationship dynamics, manipulative, lifelong insomniacs, and difficulty of societal stability. And the most common signs are Virgo, Gemini, Scorpio, and Capricorn. So yeah, that's if you think that somebody in your life fits those things, or maybe you fit those things, I would advise that maybe you, I don't know, try to help them seek help. Because if they're not a serial killer, they're quite obviously going through some very, very rough things. And yeah, we don't want that to become a bigger problem than it is, So yeah, mental health is just as important as physical health. Anybody that refutes that apparently has not gone through the situation of losing a loved one to one of these individuals that have done these things. So, but yeah. So, that is the show. I hope you enjoyed it and found it entertaining and educational at the very least. And I hope it helps you have a little awareness on what to look for to keep yourself safe. Oh my goodness, especially with the whole dating scene. You guys, these are red flags. If these people are that you're dating are displaying, I would say even 40% of these things, because there's 20 of them. So if they are prominently displaying at least 5 of them, run. Never look back. Ever. Seriously. You will thank me when you are still alive and unmaimed. So, but I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is for you. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hello, it's Miss Red again. So just letting you guys know, we're going to have a very exclusive show all about mothers, of course, on May 8th for Mother's Day. So yeah, you want to know weird, creepy, and strange facts about motherhood? Make sure you tune in May 8th. Don't be late. Love you guys.